Pittsburgh police chief just told the citizens this.
So when there's a event that doesn't require, it's not in progress, we're going to take and reroute that call to our telephone reporting unit, which will be operational from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Residents of the city will see a major change in the way police respond. They will no longer respond to calls that aren't considered in-progress emergency. That means calls like criminal mischief, theft, harassment, and most burglary alarms will all be handled by an enhanced telephone reporting unit. That means residents will file a police report over the phone. Officers will not respond unless it's an emergency. Also, between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., there will be no officers at any of the 6 stations throughout the city. Call boxes that link directly to 911 have been installed for people to use in case of an emergency. And during the overnight shift, there will be as few as 20 officers to cover the entire city. Now, the chief also acknowledging today that some of these changes are due to staffing shortages.
Now, I remember back during COVID when everything was just kind of weird. I remember in Dallas and other places, the police departments were struggling to keep up with all of the incidents and crime that was going on, to the point where they were starting to have to triage certain police calls. We live in a society where we're completely spoiled when it comes to our idea or the ability to depend on police to keep us safe. It's not necessarily the case that they're always going to be able to. And the problem is when that time comes, it's going to catch you off guard, which is why I stress all the time people need to
save yourself.
Because at a given moment, the police can say, well, there's nothing we can do. Imagine a situation where you have hurricanes, tornadoes, or just disasters where you're completely on your own. Not because the police don't want to be there, but because they just can't be there. People forget police aren't robots. We don't have AI police yet. So they can't just automatically show up and work 24-hour shifts. At a certain point, the human element is going to come into play, and you're going to have to be responsible for your own safety. And that's why people in the gun community are so ardent about the fact that we have firearms to protect ourselves. And so we want to maximize our ability to actually protect ourselves. But when you have politicians who are in Congress who are telling us,
you don't need an AR-15.
Oh, you don't need this gun, or you don't need this weapon, you don't need this many rounds, you don't need that. Just depend on us.
I know you're scared, but I'll be with you. I'll keep you safe. I promise.
The same people who are surrounded by private security 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the same people that if something does happen at my house, they're not going to come to my house and actually do anything about it. I'm just on my own.
Thank you, but no thank you.
I'd rather have a gun in my home that gives me the best ability to protect myself against anything that may present itself in the most inopportune time. But people also forget the police don't have an obligation to keep you safe.
I want to take time to thank today's sponsor, Arrowhead Tactical. Now, anybody who's tried to conceal carry in a pair of sweats or joggers knows it's incredibly annoying and frustrating. Either you can't carry the size gun you want to carry because the drawstring can't support the weight, or when you start moving or doing anything active, the gun's bouncing all over the place and you think it's going to fly out of your pants. That's where Arrowhead Tactical comes in. They have the ability to run a belt, which will allow you to carry a much bigger gun and keep that gun in place. So if you decide you want to work out, if you want to run on the treadmill, if you want to do a row machine, you just want to lift weights in general, and even just day-to-day stuff, these joggers are going to be your best bet as far as carrying a bigger size gun whenever you do it. Like for instance, you see me? Jumping all around, jumping all around, jumping all around, doing all that crap stuff. Now, look. Full-size staccato. I wasn't a believer initially until I started rocking these things, and they do a phenomenal job of keeping the guns in place. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to put a link in the description section of this video for Arrowhead Tactical, and let them know I sent you.
So as crazy as this may sound, they're doing you a courtesy by even telling you about it, because as the Supreme Court already decided, there's no duty for police officers to protect you. The government has no duty to protect you. They're telling you they'll protect you. They kind of try to protect you, I guess, in some ways, but they don't have a duty to. And when it becomes too hard or they're incapable of doing it, there's nothing you can do to strong arm them to protect you. Don't confuse the perception of safety with actually being safe, because there's a massive difference. Sometimes actually being safe doesn't feel safe. If you have access to firearms to protect yourself in your home, and you're like, well, other people have access to firearms too, in your mind, you're like, I don't really feel safe. But the idea that because you don't have a gun, because there's a law that tells you you can't have a gun, and that makes you feel safe because you think that subsequently also means criminals don't have guns as well, you feel safe, but you aren't safe. That's the biggest difference. You have a situation where the criminals do have guns and you don't, but you think they don't. Then you have a situation where you have a gun and criminals have a gun. Now, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to keep you safe. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is it gives you a fighting chance. And I'll take that over a guaranteed chance that I can't do anything about it any day. I can't use a baseball bat to smack away bullets. The gun is a great equalizer. And it's time for people to start seeing it that way. It is an equalizer. If you have 5 people kicking in your door in your house, and it's just you in your house, and you have a gun, and they all have guns, and you start sending rounds in their direction, it puts them on their heels. They're not as confident anymore. If anything, they're gonna take off running. And even if they don't, at the end of the day, they are still being put on the defensive instead of you just simply being on the defensive. Criminals know exactly what they're gonna do when they're gonna do it. So they can prep, they can plan, they can strategize. We don't, we have to react. Every single time we have to react. So no matter what, we're always starting behind the 8 ball. So why not position yourself to have the thing that you need to protect yourself? Why not? You're already coming in from the behind. So use this situation that's going on in Pittsburgh with the police saying what they're gonna say. For whatever reason they're saying they're gonna do it, they can fancy it up and dress it up in any of the words that they want to dress it up in. At the end of the day, what they're saying is, we're not responding to calls as vigilantly as we used to. And we're triaging the situation to figure out which calls we think are more important than others. That means that you may find yourself in a situation where you can't have anybody come out to you. And that's what happens when you have a society that doesn't have access to firearms. People should see police officers as added value, not guaranteed. It's added value. I'm doing what I need to do to protect myself, and if the police show up in time to stop it, hoorah, good job. If not, fine, I already got what I need. People have forgotten that during COVID and during that whole time period that police departments were telling people we can't respond to certain calls. For Christ's sakes, they set up a whole entire city where they shut down blocks of the city, and it was taken over by just regular random people, and the cops could do nothing about it. You're gonna have all these people trying to become president who are gonna tell you, we're gonna keep you safe. If they're not telling you how they're gonna help it, you empower yourself, they're not trying to keep you safe. They're trying to sell you a wolf ticket. And I also want you to think about this. When the police make statements like this, what do you think it does to the criminals? What do you think it signals to the criminals? You think it signals to the criminals we're just gonna chill? We're gonna tone down our criminal activity because the police aren't in a position to really handle us? No, it's gonna embolden the criminals to be more violent. It's gonna embolden the criminals to commit more crimes because it's basically signaling to them, hey, the cops don't have what they need to deal with all of us. So this is our time to engage in more crime. But remember, especially those people in California, remember during COVID, things were getting weird, and everybody was running to the gun stores to try to get guns all of a sudden. These were the same people who were talking about, oh, we don't need firearms, oh, we just need gun control. And then as soon as you realized you were on your own, you went running to the gun store, start calling all your crazy gun nut fanatic friends, hey, can I borrow a gun? Only to realize you couldn't because of the laws that you voted for prior to that wouldn't let you buy firearms. All the people who rushed out to the gun stores to go try to buy firearms to protect themselves. They couldn't get a gun because there was a waiting period. And you're like, wait, I can't just come out and buy? No, because you voted for that. Crime happens on a daily basis. Home invasions happen on a daily basis. So why would you not position yourself to prepare for that, to be in a position to defend yourself from it? Worried about safe storage? There's so many items out there that you can put the gun in to make sure that your gun is safe and put away from potential kids and so forth and so on. There's so much out there designed to make firearm ownership as easy and as safe as possible. Stop letting the mainstream media make it seem like that's not the case. It is abundantly easy to own a firearm safely. It could take you literally 20 minutes, 30 minutes of YouTube just to learn how to operate and fire a firearm safely.
Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.